You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, my co-host, Kyle Reese. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Jim.
You know, Kyle, we talk a lot about how to serve people better, how to impact people better. And, you know, it's funny because we see people out there that are, quote, IBC practitioners. I was just talking to David Stearns about this issue yesterday. And it's kind of like, what are these guys teaching? Because I don't know how many times a year, at least a couple of dozen, maybe, at least a dozen, is we get people that are putting substantial amounts of money in their IBC policy. And they say, but I don't really know how to use it. And so where are they getting these policies from? And these IBC practitioners out there that are making these videos and they're talking all this stuff about, here's an illustration and here's an illustration. This is how you read an illustration. This is they're not like they're good at marketing and stuff, but they're really doing a disservice to themselves because they're not benefiting from IBC the way they should. And they're doing a bigger disservice to the people that they're, quote, supposedly helping, but then those people end up calling us and they're like, hey, I don't know how to use this policy. So when I say that, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, you're saying illustration over and over, right? There's a ton of focus on the policy, on the contract, on the vehicle, and we're completely missing the point that this is all about a concept. Right? It's the infinite banking concept, not the infinite banking policy. And I think that's, I fell into that same trap early on in my career was because I got so stinking excited about how cool the contract was that you could actually leverage an asset that a poor guy like me at the time could get into and could start leveraging the asset to build wealth and create uninterrupted compounding growth. And we look at the examples in Nelson's book about, how we finance vehicles, very simple. And it's really easy to just get stuck in looking at the numbers, selling the numbers, and being excited about how the mechanics of the policy work. And then we want to take that and share that with other people. I should say, like me a long time ago, wanted to share like the mechanics of how this stuff works, but we're just focusing on the contract at that point, and we're totally missing the concept. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. It's hard to have, if you don't have the right mindset with anything in life, but you start to focus on the mechanics of something, you're not going to get the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a golfer. I know you're not really a golfer, but let's say that I go down to the golf store and I go, what's the best golf clubs I can buy? And the person at the store, whatever store it is, the place I go here is called Golf Guys, right? And they're the most knowledgeable in the area. So I go in and I say, I want to buy the best golf clubs. They sell them to me. I go out and I go, wait a minute, my score didn't improve. I come back and I say, hey, these aren't the best golf clubs. No, the technology, this and this and this and this. Okay, all right, I'm going to take them out again. And I do the same thing. And I just keep doing that over and over and over again. Am I getting any better? No. Is the problem with the golf clubs? No. The problem is with me. I don't know how to swing the golf club better. If I know how to swing the golf club better, I know how to chip better, I know how to putt better, I know how to manage the course better. It's all of these aspects that really don't have that much to do with the club, right? Because Tiger Woods could take my clubs and beat me up and down that course like nobody's business, even if I had his clubs, which arguably are the best clubs in the world. So that's what life and money, people want you to focus on the wrong things, right? You know where Nelson uses this? A great example is when he would do his, 10-hour seminar, he would talk about, now Jim could buy Porsche 911 and he might get 40,000 miles out of it. Because he's not going to change the oil. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. I might get, and he said, now I'm really diligent about all that stuff. I might get 200,000 miles out of that Porsche 911 because I'm going to baby it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make sure it's maintained perfectly. So it's the same exact car. So why does somebody get 40,000 miles and somebody gets 200,000 miles? Why does somebody buy an insurance policy and they're disappointed after 5 years of what their rate of return is, and somebody else buys an insurance policy 5 years later, they've built an empire?
Because they bought totally different policies.
Right? It's the policy. Well, no,
I'm just
that
kidding.
one guy must have bought it from the right company,
Yeah, right. No.
right?
Yeah,
He
'cause
must
he
have
knew what
bought
to
his
do with it.
911 from the right dealer.
Yeah, still a 911.
Still a 911.
Yeah. But one guy knew what to do with it, and the other guy didn't, and it's a mindset thing. It's a concept.
It's a mindset thing. So when we talked about some of the mistakes that IBC practitioners make out there, let's just go through those, Kyle.
Yeah, so I would say another one would be that IBC practitioners don't actually practice IBC.
Okay, so somebody doesn't own a 911, right? They don't own those golf clubs. Well, why would they not? One,
'Cause
they
it
can't afford the 911 or the golf clubs,
They might
right?
not be able to afford it. It might be a mindset thing. They don't actually believe it,
The
right?
key right there. The key right there is they don't actually believe it. So why would somebody go out there, market, be an IBC practitioner, and they don't practice it or believe it?
Because there's money to be made in selling the contract.
Because when you sell a life insurance contract, you get a commission. And you know how many people go to the Nelson Nash Institute every week and they're like, hey, I love this concept. I love it. I could sell so much insurance with this concept.
I'm a broke insurance salesman. This
Yeah.
is hope.
Yeah. This is a new system. This is a new system. By the way, it's not really their fault because the whole industry, the life insurance industry, the financial services industry, are trying to sell you this magic bullet.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I started at 22 years old, it was called FNA, Financial Needs Analysis. Kyle, I have no reason to know whether you need this or not, but I'm going to do a financial needs analysis, which was a two pieces of paper that were connected like folder, and I would ask you these questions. And at the end, guess what? You did have needs, right? And
No way.
and you needed everything that I had to offer. And if if you were a great client, you bought everything. And then I would just add on and add on and add on and add on and add on. And after 10 years, you had all this stuff with me. And after 10 years, you're like, what am I doing? I still feel like a slave. So these practitioners, they have the wrong intent. We've talked a lot about our intent, and our intent is to serve people
Mm-hmm.
and to impact people and to free people and help people take ownership and to give them confidence that they can change their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all that. Well, it reminds me of two things. One is the 5 laws of stratospheric success from the Go Giver. The
Bob
law of
Burr.
value is, the law of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and then receptivity, right? Like when we serve abundantly from a position of already doing and being, then there's value exchanged both directions. We're not even worrying about selling or not selling. And then the other thing it reminded me of is Robert Kiyosaki's quote, and tell me if I get it wrong, but he said most people are poor because they're taking their financial advice from salespeople instead of rich people. And I think that's why people are calling us, because they know that we're not just selling insurance. We're not just selling infinite banking policies that are designed the right way. We're educating and selling a mindset. We're helping people understand because we're living it. We own our own businesses outside of this. We've created cash flow and passive income through various different means. We're actually implementing infinite banking. And you know what it's done for us is given us freedom. Well, why would we not want to share that with other people? If us having freedom means we have bigger impact on people, why would we not do everything that we can to help other people achieve that level of freedom?
Absolutely. So think about, sometimes we use this analogy as if God came down from heaven and handed us the cure to cancer in a water bottle, right? He said, these water bottles, and these are, this is like in the Bible stories of Jesus, is you could just keep grabbing these water bottles. They will never run out. Okay. And you could cure as many people of cancer as you want. But here's the catch is you got to charge $1,000 for this water bottle. Okay. there are certain people out there that would say, man, $1,000. Okay. $1,000 per, what? I mean, man, I could sell 10 of these a day. I'm going to be making a ton of money. Or there are other people that go, I can hand out as many of these as I want. I got to charge $1,000 and I'm going to cure this many people of cancer that will never get cancer. Which one is going to work tirelessly? The one has an appetite. It could be 10 a day. I mean, 10 grand a day. That's a lot of money. Right? But the other one, when would you stop? When would you stop pursuing this to cure people or prevent them from ever having cancer? Never. You'd want to work 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And would you want to stop at a certain age? No, you want to just keep going. Like, God gave me this gift. And I feel like that's our philosophy, is God gave us this gift and our responsibility is to share it. And yeah, are we going to be financially compensated? Sure. But that's not our focus,
Yeah.
right? Our focus is to serve people. That's not the focus of these inexperienced practitioners that are good marketers that are out there making these videos every single day. Their thing is a scarcity mindset, is, hey, I'm better. These policies are better. These companies are better. Don't do business with these other people. Okay, well, what do I do with it now that I got the best policy? I got the best clubs in the world. How do I hit a ball? Well, I'm not going to tell you that. I don't know. I'm not really a good golfer. I'm
Yeah.
not a good steward of IBC. I'm not a good actual practitioner of IBC. I just am good at getting you to buy it.
Right. And do you feel like that mindset of, focusing on the contract because really it's a scarcity. They don't have the mindset. They're not doing the things. Do you think that's why, and it's not everyone, but a lot of these practitioners who are trying to figure it out, why they might focus or obsess over the cash value or the design or the rate of return within a policy?
Absolutely. Because they've got to sell what they understand. And anybody can understand, okay, this dividend history is this loan rate is this early cash value is this, right? Those are just numbers. And it reminds me, actually, Kyle, of when I was brand new as a financial advisor. And I was like, well, how do I advise people about where to put their money in the market? I really don't know anything about the market, right? So this is what would happen on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning or something. There would be a fund wholesaler that would show up with donuts and coffee or pizza at the end of the day. And they would give us a 1-hour spiel. And out of that hour, I would take copious notes. And then I would go out and like a parrot, I would parrot whatever their message was. And they'd go, man, this 22-year-old knows the market. And guess what? They would put their money with me. What was I selling? I was selling the clubs. I wasn't telling them, hey, here's how wealthy people do it. And I'm telling them, just like all these IBC practitioners are telling them how people that are not wealthy do it, right? There's the common IBC practitioner, and then there's the uncommon IBC practitioner. And there's so many people that I see out there that they can't even look. It's good enough to sell an insurance contract to tell you to finance your cars and some of your equipment at your work. It's good enough. I can make a nice living. I know people that are writing 200 applications a year, 300 applications a year. And it's like, all I got to do is teach you this basic stuff. I can do it in my sleep. Bum, 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 bum. Then you write an application. Then I never see you again. And then you write an application. Then I never see you again. But I'm just, and I'm a machine. I'm just a marketing, churning machine. And then that gives IBC a bad name.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, is like, what is the impact of people out there doing this? Because like you said, right, it's not necessarily their fault, right? We look at, who did we learn the financial system from? We learned it from our schools, our peers, our parents, and they learned it from somebody, and they learned it from somebody.
Advertising even.
Yeah, right. Advertising. And so a new person who comes across infinite banking and then claims to be a practitioner and is out there selling this stuff, they're selling their existing mindset that they've had without really improving the way they actually think about the way the money works. And I mean, a huge in my mind, a huge problem is that it's just a lack of good mentors out there like Nelson that are taking the time with these new guys and gals to really help them understand what to actually focus on.
I couldn't agree with you more, Kyle. I mean, I think that it's kind of like fitness or dieting or health, right? Have you ever seen somebody get up like on stage? I had this happen in the last year and a half. They get up on stage and they're talking about optimal health. And this person was at least 20 or 30 pounds overweight, right? And then I was at a mastermind 6 months before that, and there was a guy that got up there and he was ripped. And I signed up for that guy. Okay. By the way, he could not deliver, but he couldn't deliver. She couldn't deliver. She wasn't the example, right? So I didn't really listen to anything she had to say because I was like, well, if you're not doing it, why am I going to take the advice from you? Like, kind of like a fat doctor that tells you to lose 30 pounds, what? But he was ripped. So these are two different problem animals. Okay. And then we have all of these in the IBC practitioner program. We have people that are killing it, but they don't want to help you. Okay. This guy was what I wanted to look like, right? He might have been 20 years younger than me, but like at my age, I wanted to look like this guy. And she didn't have any credibility. So we take those two things. Somebody has credibility. They've written books. They're Robert Kiyosaki's advisor, blah, 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 blah. But they don't want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people that are out there going, hey, IBC is really great. You really should do it. I know I don't, but and so
And they're both going to
what
take.
she was focusing on is
they're-
how great her supplements were, by the way. And so that's the club,
Yeah.
right? I could
And
go into the golf store every single day and buy new clubs to try to improve my golf game, and it will not. So it's really intent. Is my intent to sell a bunch of life insurance? Well, there's probably better ways to sell life insurance than IBC. I mean, we could talk about estate planning. We could talk about buy-sell agreements. We could talk about business planning. We could talk about deferred compensation plans. We could talk about all of those things. And they're a lot easier to get business owners to understand than IBC and how to use IBC.
Mhm.
If that were our goal, we could do it's a lot easier, right?
And the legal
But
system actually necessitates you have quite a few things that you just listed.
right,
You say you need this, right? Like
yeah,
with infinite banking, nobody needs it. We're helping people totally rethink the way that they've always thought about money so that they can insert a huge amount of freedom into their life.
and nobody needs freedom. They actually all these things going on in the world today. They're acting like they don't want freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They want somebody who's done really well to pay for them.
Well, hey, and that just made me laugh because it made me think of the Israelites coming out of Egypt, and they're sitting there, grumbling, Moses and Aaron and God ultimately, because they don't have their onions and their breads and their all these things that they had in Egypt. They're like, at least we had all those things. Freedom's hard.
Yeah.
Freedom is not easy, and
Yeah,
you go through a lot of junk to live an abundant and full life. And what was the end? Like they got to there, but they had to go through a bunch of junk to get there. But they had to smash that old paradigm of relying on the system that was provided for them by the Egyptians. And that's not
yeah.
easy.
So Jesus asked, "Do you want to be healed?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody, like when I first read that, I thought, well, who wouldn't want to be healed? But guess what? Meaning, like, if you want to be healed, like, again, that's such a great question. Do you really want to be free? Do you really want to take control and have ownership? Do you really want to? Most people, the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
This is where our challenge comes in, and this is where we're super passionate is, why wouldn't you want that? And you know why? Is they don't have the confidence that they can do it. So if they can't do it and somebody else can, then they have envy, they have jealousy. And so it's like, well, I can't do it. But so if the government will take care of me, then that's what I want because I don't have the confidence. So why don't we have confidence? Confidence is a skill set. So the way that we try to help people have confidence in their ability to build their own wealth is education. So when we do speaking events and we're trying to increase your confidence so that you can take action. No one will take action. I will not get in an airplane and try to take off. You know why? I have no confidence that I know how to fly that airplane.
Yeah.
But if I spent 1,000 hours learning how to fly that airplane before I went up once, or I had an instructor that said, hey, listen, Jim, you don't have to know how to fly the airplane. This thing's got 2 controls. I got the controls. You're going to learn from me. It's kind of like watching somebody play the piano or having a player piano, and the keys are going to move even if you don't hit the right key. And I go, okay, let's go. And as I observe and I watch this person and I watch this person and I listen to this person and they tell me what to do. And okay, when that wind does this, I do that. Nick would laugh at me after that. Then pretty soon I'm like, oh yeah, I've done that before. Oh yeah, I know that situation. And I have the confidence that I can fly that airplane or play that piano or run my IBC system.
But
But,
you know what's easier?
huh,
Is sitting in that seat, and since it's all happening, you just don't ask questions. You just sit there, you get tired, you lean that seat back, and well, I don't know. The seats probably don't lean back in the cockpit, but
I hope not. I hope
you
there's
know,
no taking a nap.
yeah, but you doze off, right? And because it's already being done for you, and I think that's where a lot of us fall is in that the human nature of not being curious, of not pushing to get that understanding, so that you can then do it yourself. And I think that's what separates the people who actually implement and apply infinite banking versus the people who get excited about it and really stay in the same spot for a long time.
I love this analogy for the airplane. So let's say that I go again, I'm gonna like sound stupid on these airplanes, but I go and I get in a Cessna, okay, engine Cessna, and they say, okay, this is your Cessna, Jim, you just bought it, and I go, okay, what do I do now? I don't know. Okay, I'll tell you what, I think I made a mistake on this Cessna. I got a lot of money. I'm gonna buy a G5. So I get in the G5. Now I got dual engines. I got blah, 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 blah. I'm a jet now. I'm in a jet. I sit down at the cockpit and they go, okay, take off. You know what, man? I got a nicer jet, but I still don't know how to fly this thing. Now, which one am I going to feel stupider? That I bought this inexpensive Cessna or I bought this real expensive G5 that can do all of these things that I can rent out. I can do all this stuff. I'm going to feel stupider the more I put in. So again, the reason that these inexperienced IBC practitioners sell a lot of smaller policies to people, meaning smaller capitalization, because they're selling Cessnas. And we're looking for people that want to learn how to fly jets. But guess what? If I buy a G5, guess what I'm also going to hire? Pilot.
Yeah.
Even if I want to learn how to fly it myself, I'm hiring a pilot. And I'm going to watch that pilot and watch that pilot and watch that pilot. And I'm going to say, hey, can I try that a little bit? And hey, what do you think of this? And hey, do you think all those things, right? So I don't know, man. I think that the problem out there and why some people are disappointed in the results that they're getting with their IBC system, or they haven't pulled the trigger yet, is because they're watching marketing videos of people trying to sell life insurance instead of people really trying to serve them and teach them how to be the best practitioner of IBC that's out there. Because I think the person selling it is a practitioner in sales.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And, one of the other things I think that these people make is they're thinking short range, right? They're thinking about the sale versus the long-term freedom. And I mean, Nelson belabored that point almost more than anything else is think long
Yeah.
range. You have to think long range.
He spends so much time in his examples of being a forester, so much time in the examples of over years building the system, right? And he like you said, he spent so much time trying to get you to understand. Even Tony Robbins says most people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Now, if that's true, right, there's a crossover somewhere there, which I believe it's true, right? And I'm sure that there's a verse in the Bible that would say that. Is if that's true, then which one do you want to be? The person that's overestimating what they can do in a year, then they're frustrated, then they stop, and they were on this 90-day diet and, 90 days hard and all this other stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. Okay. But if that's your philosophy, that I'm just going to lose 30 pounds. How many times have you heard that? I'm just going to drop 30 pounds in like a month, and then I'm going to go back to eating the way I was. And then now I got to lose 40 pounds next time, and the next time, and the next time. And it's this yo-yo. It's the same way in the financial world. I see these yo-yos all the time. And then I see somebody that really makes intentional change. Hey, it doesn't matter to me whether I lose this 30 pounds in 30 days or a year. I'm going to change my lifestyle. Who wins? Every
One who
time.
changes their lifestyle.
So, as we wrap this up, Kyle, it's not exactly the format that we thought we were going to go down today, but I think this message is just this one message, right? Let's kind of wrap it up with the analogy that we use when we're talking to people that we're educating about IBC and if you're not a golfer out there, just follow along. It's trust me. Okay. So Kyle, you and I are going to go play Augusta tomorrow. Now, Augusta is everyone's dream of the golf course they want to play, right? And if there's any Augusta members listening and they need a fourth, I'm available 24/7, 365 days a week or a year. Christmas Day, I'm there. Okay. Maybe not my wife's birthday. Okay. 300. So anyway, we're going to go play Augusta, right? Which I would pay 25 grand today to go play. And I'm going to give you the choice of one of two things. And let's just assume for a minute that Tiger Woods has the best golf clubs that money can buy. I'm going to let you have his clubs, or I'm going to let you have his swing. Which one do you want?
Want to swing?
I want to swing too, because he could take the worst clubs on earth and beat me and you. Right? So our focus as we teach people IBC and we help help them free themselves is let's focus on the swing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get you great clubs. Don't worry about that. They might not be Tiger Woods clubs, okay, but they're going to be great clubs. But you're going to swing them so well, everyone else is going to be like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Right?
So
I learned the swing.
if someone's listening right now and they want to swing a little bit better, let's just say they're a client or somebody who's been putting off this idea of actually pulling the trigger and moving forward with infinite banking, or they're really new to it, how would you recommend them start learning to swing better?
Well, number one, you have to learn the philosophy of the swing, right? And so what I would say is reach out to us. And if you're listening to this podcast, we would be happy to send you a gift of Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. And we'll send you that book if you promise that you'll read it and you'll call us, or you'll set up a time to discuss the book. Because you can't just read it and, somebody not explain it to you. Okay. The golf swing is a swing. It's not a hit. Most people try to hit the ball. It's a swing. And so you got to understand some of these little things, and you need somebody to help guide you through it. So if you promise you'll read this 92-page book and you'll let us help explain it to you, we'll send you a copy of this book for free. So that would be my first recommendation. If you're not ready to read and commit to that, I would say reach out to us and tell us your concerns. Hey, I only have one arm. Can I still play golf with one arm? I've seen people do it. If you think that there's something preventing you from doing IBC, call us. Send us an email. We'll put both of our emails in the show notes. Send us an email and let's have a talk. And we're not going to try to sell you anything. We're not going to throw you down on the ground and try to twist your arm behind your back and take your wallet. Okay. That's not those other IBC practitioners. Let them do that. We're not them. Okay.
That's great.
All right, Kyle, like one of the things that I think people like about the show is that we give them an idea on a book. Give me one book that you've thought about, read, started to read in the last 90 days or 6 months that's made an impact.
Yeah. Robert Kiyosaki's book, Second Chance.
Love Second Chance. Terrible. Don't you think, Kyle, that's a terrible name for that book? Because I don't know. To me, it's not about second chances. It's about education, and it's so good.
It is so good. And yeah, I mean, there's so many times that I've been working my way through it, and the way that he writes it is unique in his Q&A portions on every chapter. Sometimes the whole chapter is like questions and answers. It's like, what is going on here? But there are so many fundamental philosophies of the way that we think. It's really good. So pick it
It's
up.
really good. And if you haven't ever watched, we always say we're going to end this the way we always do with the incredible words of Earl Nightingale and The Strangest Secret. Audience, if you have not taken 32 minutes of your life and watched The Strangest Secret, stop everything, cancel an appointment, go watch that right now, because it will change your life. Kyle, any famous last words before we wrap it up?
Always a pleasure to be here with you and keeping on serving people.
Kyle, I always like talking to you because, 30 years ago, when I was about your age, I thought of the world so differently. And I want to make sure that you don't spend 30 years or 15 more years or whatever. And we love helping young people. I love helping young people. But I get so much out of your perspective too. So it's definitely reciprocal. So thank you for spending the time. And audience, we're going to wrap this up like we always do with the incredible words of Earl Nightingale and The Strangest Secret. Whatever you think, you will become. Thank you for being here.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to hear what was shared on today's podcast. If you are looking to discover new wealth building strategies, join our free online community and get access to free courses and in-depth training videos designed to help you build wealth and break away from the herd. Click the link in the show notes to access the community today. Thanks again for listening.